Bro, did you guys see that literally 2 hours ago? Friend of the show, Hila Klein, friends of the show rather, Hila Klein and Ethan Klein, told us all about how the Palestinians deserve what they get because, according to them, the occupied West Bank is unsafe for Israelis. Let's watch that. Let's check out what Hila Klein has to say. She's apparently back on the podcast just 1 month after her little Yoav Gallant gaffe.
And I feel like my biggest fear driving to Jerusalem is to make a mistake on the road, because like, you can't make the wrong turn and end up like somewhere you're not wanted.
Right.
So that's why I've always had so much like anxiety about going there. I feel like
that's so crazy.
It's ingrained. It's ingrained anxiety, like the subconscious. You don't even.
It happened recently that an Israeli
It always happens.
couple or dudes went on the wrong road and they were murdered, right?
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, it's very dangerous to go down the wrong road there.
Where?
And people go,
And I didn't have smartphones back in the day, I should say. So it was different having to drive somewhere when I was like 18, without a smartphone. You kind of have to memorize where you're going if you haven't been there before.
Yeah.
My dad would tell me like, so when you get there on the second right, you go right. And on the third left, it's like that's how we used to get instructions.
Yeah.
Which seems so archaic now. I think.
Tough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Tough.
People think that I'm being like racist or something when I say that. I think if you as Israeli go to Ramallah, they'll kill you.
What do you mean you think?
I'm
It's a
saying
fact.
you go there as Israeli, you take the turn there, you'll be died. They'll kill you.
It's not only killed, it's like lynched. It's a brutal death.
Yeah,
So.
I think.
It's absolutely incredible, for one, how actual Israeli mass murder and genocide of Palestinians is always legitimized by theoretical Palestinian violence against Israelis. You ever notice that? This is what that is. It's the same thing. For two, it's like if you drive into this city that we occupy and periodically raid, whose people we periodically massacre, who we keep under a brutal occupation. If you drive there, you're in danger. You know what I think when I hear that? Like, what the fuck do you expect? Would a German driving around like a resistance-controlled area in Paris in 1942 be like, oh my god, I can't fucking believe that these weird Frenchies, they keep attacking us. Why? They're so uncivilized. That's the analogy to make. Like, it's not true for one. There's plenty of videos of like Israelis just going into Ramallah and talking to people. The main party that makes that specifically illegal is Israel. And the main party that makes something like generic talking between Jews and Palestinians in Palestine is Israel. Not just because of that, but also because fucking Israel massacres people. Like what the fuck are you talking about, man? We're talking about people living under a brutal Israeli occupation, and you're surprised that it's unsafe for the occupiers? To be clear, it's fucking not. The case that they're talking about there of like getting lynched in Ramallah is specifically a reference to like a 2001 event where actual Israeli soldiers were mobbed by a bunch of people and killed. Israeli soldiers, occupying Israeli soldiers for them are like helpless little victims. Like the people they brutalize every single day fought back against them. And that is framed as like an example of Palestinian intolerance, Palestinian barbarity. It's always, always, always actual massacre, systemic massacre of Palestinians by Israel, justified by imagined threat of Palestinian violence against Israelis. For Hila Klein, it's like, my dad told me scary stories. For Palestinians, it's like, my dad was bombed by Israel and now he's blown into 5,000 bits. You see the difference? For Palestinians in Ramallah, it's like, the Israelis raided my house and shot up my mother and father. Now they're dead. For the Israelis, it's like, well, I live in a settlement 2 kilometers from Ramallah in occupied land. But if I went there, they would hate me and I bet they'd try to kill me 100%. That shows you how barbaric it is and how dangerous it is for us without a single fucking thought as to why they'd want to do that. Even a lick of introspection. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how disconnected from reality you need to be to act like this. And it's insane that these people, especially Ethan, is like Ethan's someone who genuinely seems to believe that he's pro-Palestinian, and yet he says something like that without saying anything else. It's not only is it untrue, but even if it was true, it would have to come with some sort of analysis of why that would be. But it doesn't from him. He's just throwing it out there as a justification for Israel, as a justification for Israeli aims and goals, as a justification for the Israeli oppression of Palestinians. And it's just sad, man. God, this is like my first Ethan Klein video in like a month and a half, but I had to make it just because that moment is just so stupid and it's so demonstrative of their mentality, the Israeli victim mentality. Ridiculous. She's scared now, but she apparently wasn't scared when she went there on a raid to terrorize those people, right? When she volunteered to go on a raid that she didn't have to go on just because she wanted to see it because she was curious, hey? Now she's scared. Yet she's apparently too dumb to connect this supposed hatred of Palestinians in Ramallah, of Israelis, to the whole raid thing that she went on, as if those things wouldn't be related. The Israeli victim mentality knows no bounds. They massacre you and they justify it with this idea that if they didn't do it, you would attack like them without analyzing why those people may want to attack them.